Wednesdays and Fridays. We are going to add Saturday. And also the number of days means that we are going to increase our menu. We are going to ensure that we put more food on your table just for you to, and we are looking for you to reciprocate by providing us with more mental food from your side. Because this is an exchange, this is an exchange, that's what we are. We will also be extending our coverage, to rural Jamaica. Traditionally, the media in Jamaica don't pay enough attention to the rural folks, only when sometimes something terrible happens. Now we want to change that. We want to make sure that our rural friends, brothers and sisters, get a chance to participate in the national dialogue and, to keep us abreast of what is happening over the rural parishes, because let me tell you, life is rough down here too over there. People are having numerous challenges, and we just have to try our best to highlight them. The one headline I think in the Gleaner today spoke about blood like rice grain. They are talking about that alleged murder in which the police constable Maitland is on trial. Why, this is a hell of a thing, right? And let us see what really happened, how that case, how the court, it is dealt with in the court. I gather we have Mike. Mike, chairman of the National Democratic Movement, welcome to Rebel Radio. Mike, in my little monologue, I was talking about the fact that the crime monster is on us. Over 1,000 murders already, over 500 guns seized, and there's no end in sight. I know that the NDM had some ideas. Would you mind sharing some of them with our listeners and viewers? Yes. So you mean, so if clean water.
But all Jamaica must remember that.
Yes.
So once we have that in our minds, we must understand that both the Prime Minister and the leader of the opposition have garrison constituencies.
Yes.
Garrisons are run by gunmen.
Uh-huh.
Now, if you put the two together, there are two big organizations in Jamaica, the GLP and the PNP. And you have two other organizations in Jamaica that few people talk about, Klansman and one other.
Uh-huh.
Now, both of those organizations, the GLP is organized by branches. The PNP is organized by groups. Klansman and one other structure their organization same way.
Mm-hmm.
So when you say 500 rounds of ammunition and 15 guns are imported into Jamaica, who do you think import those? You think it's Issa, Musson, Grace Kennedy, Sanders Group importing them?
No.
I want Jamaicans to understand that guns is a very expensive thing. It can't be imported by like a single man. A single man send a couple guns in a barrel and you X-ray that and you find it at the airport, and you make at the wharf, and you make a big issue. But the big guns that come in, rifles and so forth, they come in through one order and Klansman.
But Mike, hold a second. Two things. The one order and Klansman are not the only two gangs in Jamaica.
They are the only two gangs in Jamaica.
What you where no
The other gangs.
substantiate that. Yeah.
Well, I will tell you.
Yes.
All of them are either branches or groups of the main gang.
Oh, I see.
So when the police tell you about Ski Mask gang, they don't tell you who Ski Mask gang is affiliated to.
So you are saying
All you have to do is, in most instances, you have to look on who is the lawyer defending the gang. Remember? And in most instances, not all, but in most instances, that will tell you where the gang is affiliated to.
Mike, you know, some of my listeners and viewers might be using this colloquial phrase that if shark come from river bottom, come tell you sit down the deep, what you are going to say? And why I'm using that is saying that if you are saying this based on your intricate knowledge of the political system, having been a member and a high-ranking member. Am I correct with that?
The first party that I joined when I came back from overseas, way back in the 70s, was the PNP.
Yes.
I didn't last long in the PNP because of my outspoken talk.
Yes.
And I waited and I joined the PNP when Edward Seaga became Prime Minister.
You mean the JLP?
I joined the JLP when Edward Seaga became the leader of the JLP.
Yes. That's in 1974.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I spent years in the JLP.
Yes.
But the JLP, I am the man that coined the phrase JLPNP because they are one party.
Okay. Yes, I see. Well, they are the ones that they are the two parties which have run this country since 1944. That's a fact.
That is correct.
Yes.
That is correct. And they have made Jamaica to what it is.
Yes.
But now that they have made Jamaica for what it is, they cannot change it. If you understand that the Prime Minister and the leader of the opposition, they will decide what's good for Jamaica. But that is only from their eyes.
Yes.
But what's good for Jamaica is not from the JLP or the PNP eyes. It is what the people of Jamaica have to wake up and understand.
Yes.
Right?
But Mike, is the NDM gearing itself to lead the way?
The NDM, I want you to understand something else in Jamaica. Neither the JLP or the PNP have any sort of fundraising activity associated with them.
Yes? I don't understand that.
You understand that?
No, I don't understand that. Where they get their millions to run elections.
Okay, they get their millions to run their party from the private sector.
Yes.
They don't have nothing to do with, they never put on a fundraising event. You might see individual candidates putting on fundraising event. But you never see the JLP and the PNP put on a fundraising event because they have their sources in the private sector that fund the two parties.
Yes.
And BNS will tell you, Bank of Nova Scotia, people don't know it as Bank of Nova Scotia, it's called as Scotia Bank, will tell you how much billions or millions they donate to the JLP and the PNP.
Yes.
And Grace Kennedy will tell you how much millions they donate to the JLP and the PNP.
And NCB also.
Every one of them.
Yes.
I want to name the few who allow themselves to be published.
Right.
It's only about, in all the organizations in Jamaica, it's only about 8 of them that allow their names to be published.
Uh-huh.
And they will tell you, I donated 8 million to the GLP and 8 million to the PNP. Always equal amounts.
Uh-huh.
But they don't tell you what they donate to individual candidates.
Okay. Last election, the banks declared that they donated 100 million.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
The banks and some other private sector organizations.
Yes, that is just 6 banks
Yes.
that are controlled by the Bankers Association of Jamaica.
Uh-huh.
So
But-
they are through the Bankers Association of Jamaica, that is 6 banks. So they declare that they donate 100 million.
Yes.
But you don't know how much Scotiabank give, or NCB give, or Sagicor give.
You mean to individual bank members you're talking about, eh?
Right.
So is that are you telling me the answer? The question. Yes.
The point I'm making to you
Yes.
is that the NDM gets no funding from those organizations because we are not in power.
Yes.
And we have no chance of getting in power without funding from those organizations.
No chance. So you cannot find
So
any
the
other
NDM
source. Yes.
The NDM is starved of funds.
Mm-hmm.
And because we are starved of funds, we can have any amount of grandiose ideas.
Yes.
But if we get funding,
Uh-huh.
we can move forward.
So what is being done by the party to address that?
Well, we have done a number of things.
Yes.
I remember clearly going to a big businessman who funded one of the major political parties.
Mm-hmm.
And he listened to all our policies,
Yes.
everything.
Uh-huh.
And he said, yes, man, you have the right track. We tell him that if you have an organization, if you are funding the GLP and the PNP now, which we know he is,
Yes.
and you fund NDM and you buy into our policies, and he did.
Mm-hmm.
And open checkbook and start and write and say, and then stop. And say, let me ask you a question.
Yes.
What is in it for me?
Uh-huh.
And our answer was, you're going to get a better Jamaica.
Uh-huh.
And he said, no, what is in it for me and my company?
Yes.
We say you get a better Jamaica. You'll get a Jamaica where if you are selling to 20,000 people, you'll be able to sell to 60,000 people because the Jamaica will have much more earning power. He said, no, that is not the answer I want.
Mm.
Right? And close him checkbook. We don't get no check.
Okay.
Because every businessman, the bankers, why you think, for instance, the biggest issue right now is the Bankers Association have a cartel. I call it a cartel.
Yes.
And why you think the GLP or the PNP will never take on Jackson's bill
Uh-huh.
in Parliament?
Okay. Yeah, I can understand that. Well, Mike, I tell you what, we have to wrap it up. We will continue this discussion at another time because it is a very important discussion. And we want to keep, as I said, on Rebel Radio, we want to keep our listeners, informed.
I have a question. I don't know if your producer could call me back and tell me, how do I get to listen to reggae radio?
Well,
No, I'm not reggae, sorry. Rebel Radio live.
Well, all you do, we are right now live on Facebook. We are live on YouTube. You just go on YouTube.
I went on YouTube and I can't find the live button. I can only find the other button.
Just type in Rebel Radio, man, and you go live immediately.
Okay, well, I'll your producer or somebody talk to me off the air one or another day, or you can tell me another day.
Well, I'm telling you now, that as you hang up, just go on YouTube and type in Rebel Radio, and you will I will be
I
live.
did all of that, my friend,
Yeah.
and I don't see it come up. But I will talk to you again another time.
Try again.
Thank you very much for the interview.
Thank you very much, to Mike. That is Mike Williams, chairman of the National Democratic Movement. This is Rebel Radio. Don't move your dial. We're coming back shortly. We are coming back.
Do it for your best life. Wait. Go check your HIV status. Wait. So keep your life trending, no pretending. Me I tell yourself it, do it for you, do it for you. Every time you are link with a condom, coulda Uzi, coulda wife, coulda be a random. Condom connect and protect your profile. Be your own fan. Do it for your best life. Do it for your best life. Do it. Don't put yourself at risk. Condom connect every time. Do it for your best life. Do it.
Keep we island clean, so clean. From the peaks to the beach, so clean. No dirty up Jamaica, please don't do it. Keep we island clean, so clean. From the peaks to the beach, so clean. No dirty up Jamaica, please don't do it.
No dash no paper, no dash no plastic. Dispose your garbage responsibly. No know how to recycle, learn it quick. And if you drop it, better pick up every piece of it. Plastics last forever, don't forget the bits. Cause when them touch the street, them end up in at the sea. Collect pan the reef where they fish them feed. And when you want seafood, I eat your
Keep
eat.
we island clean, so clean. From the peaks to the beach, so clean. No dirty up Jamaica, please don't do it. No dirty up Jamaica. No dirty up Jamaica. No dirty up Jamaica. No dirty up Jamaica.
With a message to you from myself and the Ministry of Health and Wellness. Shen Yangs, everyone say wear a mask where the numbers drop. I don't want COVID, lay your down flat. Nose and mouth you fi cover up that. Oh oh, oh oh. Sanitizer gets hospitalized. Fight the virus, then fight for your life, yeah. Nobody talk about say you no response no more. Don't be reckless, cause your test I say you no have it. You can still get the virus from somebody. Don't be reckless, cause your test I say you no have it. You can still get the virus. So keep the numbers down. Protect yourself and the people around. COVID in town, 6 feet apart and 6 feet in the ground. Yeah. Keep the numbers down. Protect yourself and the people around. COVID in town, 6 feet apart and 6 feet in the ground. Stay alive, stay alive, stay alive, stay alive, stay alive, stay alive.
One, two, three, two more. 1, 2. Adults to 30 minutes activity daily. Love your body, treat your body right.
Vegetables, make sure you eat plenty. Children do 60 minutes activity daily. Drink some water when you feel thirsty. Cut down dessert and have a smoothie. Jamaicans, love your body, treat your body right. Love your body, treat your body right. Just eat right. Love your body, treat your body right. Love your body, treat your body right. One more time now. Love your body, treat your body right. Love your body, treat your body right. Just eat right. Love your body, treat your body right. Love your body, treat your body right. Listen up. Make sure you know your health status. Go a doctor and get a regular checkup. Chronic disease can slowly creep up. We can lower the risk and live up if we just eat right and get moving. Jumping, running, dancing or skipping. Change the children, them lazy habit. Make them play out the door and put down the tablet. Jamaicans, love your body, treat your body right. Love your body, treat your body right.
Well. Now, at this time, weekly, we turn our attention to investments, talking investments. We were scheduled to talk to David Collett from Wellspring Investments. He's in Dubai. We're having some difficulties connecting with him in Dubai. I don't understand why. But we have online our own Jamaican Dr. Omer Thomas. Omer, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Desmond. I'm doing well.
Yes. Well, you know, this subject of investments is always topical, and especially we would like to see some investments in the agricultural sector. We have investments in tourism. We have investment in manufacturing, but I don't think we are enough. In other words, that sector is not attractive to investors. Is that the case, Omer?
You mean which one of the sectors?
I'm talking about agriculture.
The agricultural sector?
Yes.
Yes, but basically it is not sexy.
Yes.
It's not sexy.
Okay.
And of course, you know, I say that against the background of the lukewarm effort that is put towards the promotion of investment in agriculture.
Yes.
And the type of policy mechanisms in place to encourage the investment in agriculture.
Yes, Dr. Thomas.
Yes, you see, because there's tremendous opportunities that's available now for investment in agriculture.
Uh-huh.
And as a matter of fact, agriculture is one of the few areas of endeavor that you can make good money in a short period of time.
You mean that?
I'm saying
yes.
That agriculture is one of the few, if not the only one, that can provide the opportunity for you to make very good money in a short period of time.
Yes. So, but then why people are not attracted to it? Why? Why are they not attracted to it?
Look, a lot of persons are attracted to agriculture and they want to invest in agriculture.
Yes.
But the environment, as I said many programs ago, the environment that we have here is either hostile or not enabling.
Yes.
You know? You see? Because even today, a potential investor came to me. He has his money and he would like to invest in the spices. He wants to grow onions.
Right.
Okay? And I sat him down and outlined the whole plan for him and the cost and so. And the gentleman said, look, then if this is so profitable, why aren't there other people in it? And I said to him, how many persons are like you who can take up $3 million in cash to invest in 1.5 acre of a crop?
Right.
Not many.
Certainly not many at all.
The vast majority of the persons who would like to do that would have to go to seek financing from one of the financial institutions who are hostile to agricultural investment. And I say this without any apology at all. All of these little piggy banks who call themselves commercial banks around the place here in Jamaica, they prefer to give you money to go and buy pigtail and saltfish and brassiere and panty and come here and sell it, mark it up at 200%, rather than agreeing to grant a loan to grow an acre of onions.
Yes.
Although the level of profitability on the onions is greater, mark you, there are certain risk factors involved. Okay?
But we have to refocus attention, Omer. If we are going to develop and grow, then the agricultural sector must be a sector that we focus meaningful attention on. We have the policymakers will have to do something about that.
But you see, let me tell you, sometimes we bash and we blame policymakers, right?
Yes.
But policymakers, sometimes they put the proper things in place, you know.
Yes.
It's the execution of what the politicians have put down that we have failed in. It is the execution.
Okay.
So we have a civil service. That is supposed to translate the policy into programs and plans. Okay? But the civil service is dogged by an obstructionist bureaucracy.
Yes.
And that obstructionist bureaucracy can only be solved by, well, I guess it comes right back to the policymakers or the people who have the power in parliament.
Yes.
Or through some of the morass and the web. You know, because let us say in agriculture, we are not short of the leadership that is required to steer the country to prosperity using agriculture as the base. We are not short of that. We have a Ministry of Agriculture that is full of technocrats and led by a permanent secretary who is very, very, very experienced in this thing.
Yes.
You see? Very, very experienced in this thing. But when it comes on to translating the policies into actions and programs, then of course, the permanent secretary alone would not be able to do that because it needs to have the persons who are willing, ready, and able to have the rubber touching the ground to get it done. And then the institutional framework to support the policies basically are not there. Look at how we are here talking every day about the amount of persons who are interested in investing in various aspects of agriculture. And I want to let you know from the upfront that when we talk about investment in agriculture, we're not talking about farming alone. Farming is only one aspect of agriculture.
Right.
Okay, because we have several other areas in which you can invest. That's a part of agriculture.
Right.
Okay? The government of Jamaica has agencies within the Ministry of Agriculture who are specialized in what they do in order to bring prosperity to this country. But I sometimes want to question myself as to where is the willingness, where is the drive of the leadership of these agencies? Where is it? Where is it?
But somebody, but Omer, okay. So we have the plans. The policymakers are putting the plans, right? They craft the plans. Now the implementation is where the bugbear is. But then
sometimes the bugbear in the implementation doesn't stop at the government and the institutions of the government.
Yes.
It is also a part of the malaise of the private sector.
Okay.
You You see? So we don't want to be blaming the government alone, because the government alone can't do it, and the government has put things in place. And whenever the government puts certain things in place, it is frustrated by the same operants in the private sector.
Yes. But I for example, I saw Gazan, Mr. Gazan, who is investing in agriculture out in St. Catherine, in a big way. And he was complaining that to date, he was having difficulty accessing finance for the project. So here is one example of a member of the private sector putting his shoulder to the wheel. And this is somebody who has a good credit rating. And because he's not a virgin investor, he's a seasoned private sector man. But he can't attract financing from the banks. So there is also part of the bugbear, part of the lack of implementation here, as you have already pointed out, lies with the financial sector.
That is correct.
Yes. But the government have a development bank.
Yes, I know the government has a development bank that has as one of its portfolios involves agriculture.
Yes.
But to tell you that I must criticize publicly the Development Bank of Jamaica. The Development Bank of Jamaica is setting up themselves to be a laughing stock. A laughing stock.
Mm-hmm.
Because the people who lead the Development Bank of Jamaica are lacking in the knowledge, and they are lacking in the willingness, and they are lacking in the passion that is required to ensure that certain things happen in the food production sector.
Hold it right there. You are going to elaborate when we return. We are going to take a short break. This is Rebel Radio, and we are talking to Omer Thomas on investments in Jamaica.
Ever wanted to share what you know about a crime, but were too afraid? At Crime Stop, we make it easy for you to report on crimes safely and 100% anonymously. All it takes is 4 simple steps. First, contact the tip line at 311 or visit www.crimestop.org or www.311tips.com. Then share what you know anonymously with one of our trained counselors. Any information related to criminal activity is accepted. We don't want to know your identity. We don't record calls or use star 69, and there is no way of tracing tips over the phone or online. You'll also be given a file number for your tip. Next, track the progress of your tip by calling our tip line at 311 and quoting your file number. Finally, if your tip leads to success, you will be eligible for a cash reward. Rewards will be paid out upon request through a trusted disbursement agency with verification process to ensure that your identity remains hidden. Share what you know anonymously.
Do it for your best life. Wait. Go check your HIV status. Wait. So keep your life trending, no pretending. Me I tell yourself it, do it for you, do it for you. Every time you are link with a condom, coulda Ozzy, coulda wife, coulda be a random. Condom connect and protect your profile. Be your own fan. Do it for your best life. Do it for your best life. Do it. Don't put yourself at risk. Condom connect every time. Do it for your best life. Do it.
Rebel Radio, and we are talking to Dr. Omer Thomas and talking about investments. And before we took the break, he was about to elaborate on how the financial sector can contribute more so that the agricultural sector can get moving. Dr. Thomas.
Yes, sir.
Yes, you were telling us, yes.
I was at the point of the Development Bank of Jamaica.
Yes.
Shadowboxing. And apparently looking forward to their healthy balance sheet at the end of a year. Than the development of the food production sector and the food distribution sector. The Development Bank of Jamaica advertised recently that they are providing loans for areas in agriculture at 8.5%.
Yes.
At the same time, they are giving loans to the entertainment sector and other sectors of that nature at 3%. No, they are laughing. These people are laughing.
Why? Why you say that?
No. If it is critical for us to feed ourselves and for us to cut back on the over $1 billion a year food support, do you believe that there should be a disparity in the interest rate given to various sectors and agriculture carry?
Okay.
That's the first question.
Yes.
Second, I know the Development Bank will find a dilemma because for them to lend money directly to farmers, I do not believe that they have the mechanism in place to ensure the payment of the loan.
Yes.
So they pass the loan to, and they call them approved financial institutions. And most of these banks around Jamaica are approved financial institutions.
Yes.
But when the farmer or the person who is providing services in agriculture go to these approved financial institutions to access the DBJ loan, that is where the ambition starts. Because these institutions have made the conditions and terms so onerous that it is the biggest turn-off to the into the sector.
Yes.
And I believe that Mr. Gazan and his organization would have been afflicted by the same type of
bureaucracy
that the other farmers and other investors in agriculture have been facing.
Yes.
The banks make it onerous.
But Dr. Thomas, on the other hand, the importers, the merchants, can find money to pay the $1 billion US annual food import bill. Now, some of this money have to come through the banks too. I don't think it's just from the black market.
No, it's not something. No, I wouldn't say everything is black market because there are people who have money. That's not in the banking system.
Right.
It's not black market.
No, so that's what I'm saying. It is the money to finance the import bill is coming through the banks.
Yes, okay.
Right.
They finance the import of the food coming in here. But you see, we have a type of democracy and powers given to Parliament where they can bring into law programs and plans that can discourage the lopsided approach that the banks have or the DBJ, the government agency, has for the financing of agricultural projects.
But why this is not happening?
What I want to say is for private conversation. I can't say it publicly. but there's no willingness.
Yes. You know, in our previous, Dr. Thomas, in our previous discussion, I raised a point which you and the other panelists at the time were not inclined to comment on it. But it is a raw reality. I know that there are politicians who are importing food into the country, you know, right? I know that, right? And that is in other words, they run a business. No, I am not saying that politicians must not run businesses. That's not the point I'm making. I'm saying some of the legislators who must set the example or set the pace in order for us to change direction so that the agricultural sector can move, are beneficiaries, are practitioners in the importation of food. And therefore, it is going to be difficult for them to cut down their business, mash up their business in order to change direction.
Yes, I think you're right. If the motivation is for financial gain and reward rather than national development,
yes,
then I would tend to agree with you there.
Yeah.
But it is not fair for 63 persons elected by the population to sit in this parliament where the laws are made, and not one of them can think outside the box in this regard.
Well, we have an example in front of us in Omer. Look, who is supporting Fitzjackson? He is speaking out, but he's like a lone ranger in the forest.
You mean Mr. Jackson?
Yes, MP Fitzjackson, who is championing a cause for the banks to deal fairly with their customers. And he's not getting the type of support that he ought to be getting from his colleagues in the parliament.
Right. So it is the Jamaican people who need to come out of their slumber and determine what is good for them.
I agree with you.
Yes, it is for them to do that.
Yes.
You see? And we as a population don't respect ourselves, otherwise we would not be allowing that to happen for too long. You remember the Prime Minister of Barbados, okay?
Yes.
Had a conversation with her countrymen and women when she told them that the banks are operating in a manner that is inconsistent with national development and sympathy for the people's pocket.
Mm-hmm.
And she told the banks clearly that if you don't wish to step up to the plate and smell the coffee and then do things to alter the brew, then she would have to legislate.
Okay.
You think our people them is man enough or woman enough to say that?
Well, let us watch and see if they have the gall to do it. I am not optimistic, you know, but I am still willing. You know, Dr. Thomas, one other item, for example, could you say, or do you know, what portion of, say, for let us say, fruits and vegetables, as an example, how much money we could save, or if we were able to produce enough to satisfy our local demand? Let us yeah?
Offhand, I would not be able to tell you that.
Right.
Okay. But what I can say, I could say to you, what are the structures that can be put in place to ensure that this thing happens?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because look, we have what you call the production incentive money that government puts out to the farmers every year.
Okay.
And that's a failed policy, and it continues with a failed policy.
Why is that a failed policy, Omer?
It's a failed policy because if every year you put out $200 million to provide grants and assistance to farmers to produce certain crops that they call policy crops.
Yes.
And each year you don't attract new persons. And it's the same persons over and over coming to get the same grant. And at the end of the year, if that grant is not available, that those farmers cannot farm. They cannot move forward and plant a crop that year.
So that loan is not revolving. In other words, those who get the incentive this year.
No. It's a handout given. It's a handout given to the farmers.
All right. Okay.
And the farmers will take the handout and they will grow the onion or they grow the potato or whatever they grow. And they sell it and take money. And next year they have no money to buy back the same seeds and pesticides and to continue the crop.
So they go back to the government for
$200 million in production money. No, I'm wondering if anybody can sell. No, rather than giving the money to the production program, that money that's been given to the Agricultural Investment Corporation, one of the agencies of the government of Jamaica. That Agricultural Investment Corporation is the body that is responsible for the agro parks and the agricultural production zones.
Right.
The portion of the puzzle that is missing from the Agricultural Investment Corporation is the financing aspect of it.
Yes.
Because the production incentive money could go to the I wouldn't say all of it, but some of it to the Agricultural Investment Corporation.
Yes.
Because they have the serious investors who are in the agro park who would want to have that incentive money coming to them, which is returned after the profits are made for new persons to benefit from it.
Yes. Well, I only hope.
Because, and before we go, Desmond, I want to just say to you that when we talk about the production of food, we have the farming aspect of it. When you go and you grow the crops and you grow the animals and the processing part, the manufacturing part.
Yes.
Where the excess and so are converted into higher values along the value chain. Then you have the services, because you need services. The farmers need services in order to complement their production.
Yes.
For example, you need to have your land plowed. You know how many farmers are out there who wish to have the land prepared to plant a crop. And sometimes they have to miss a planting season because there's no available tractor services or services.
Yes.
Okay.
Right. And one of our panelists last week spoke about the absence of research.
Yes, I understand. The research complements the thing at a different level.
Yes.
Okay, but this is where the rubber touches the ground.
Right.
Because if you don't I have a client who grows grass to make hay and silage to feed animals.
Yes.
But the service that he expects to draw on, to do the harvesting and to do the baling, to have the product ready for the market for the animals, that service does not exist.
Wow.
And the cost of equipment is extremely high.
Yes.
So the capital cost, the capital outlay that investor would have to be considering is going to make it as a disincentive to him producing these particular type of crops for which there are no services for him to buy.
Yes. And Omer, we thought that with that cannabis, that Jamaica would benefit immensely from ganja. But it would appear as if we are losing out. The the farmers, the last time I talked to some farmers, they were very disgruntled, and frustrated, as if that sector, that part of the market, which is supposed to be a bright spark, has not it has been stifled.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Well, Omer, there's lots of things for us to talk about. We are not going to let go of this subject because we can't. Because it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter how poor you are. You need to eat.
That's correct.
Right? So this impact on the lives of all living beings, right?
When we see that we need to eat, then when you see we import over 63 million US in milk and milk products.
Yes.
Milk and milk products, 63 million US.
Yes.
Do you know how much foreign exchange we can save if we could only do 15% of that?
Yeah, resurrected our dairy industry. We had a dairy industry. So,
yeah, we did.
Yes. So it is for us to resurrect that and produce milk and meat for our people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because something as simple, Desmond, something as simple as red kidney beans, we call it red peas.
Yes.
We import over nearly $7 million US worth of red peas a year.
That's crazy stuff.
Red peas.
Yes. Crazy.
Also import gungo peas. Not much money. We spend about 50,000 US a year importing gungo peas.
Yes.
Why can't we, when we grow the gungo peas, pour them that they can be available for use later on in the year? Why do we have to import it?
No.
We import nearly 10 million kilograms of onions every year.
Wow. Well, Omer, we won't stop. We have to do something.
Many years ago, Desmond, these are opportunities. Once financing is available, these are opportunities for persons who wish to invest. Many years ago, 30% or 40% of the rice that we consume in Jamaica was grown here.
No.
And certainly we are importing nearly 40 million US dollars of rice every year.
No, sir.
Or if we had, can you imagine if we can grow 15% of that?
And we have land to grow it. I'm not saying that we have land to grow to fill all our demand, but we can do better.
You see, I want to tell you something. The production of goats, and I think the government is leading this one. The government is leading this one, but there's some stumbling block along the way. And that is for the production of the small ruminants.
Yes.
There's a lot of money in it. You know, the amount of, we import nearly $7 million, $12 million worth of sheep meat every year. 12 million US dollars of sheep meat. Of course, you know, call the sheep meat foreign goat.
Yes.
Because in real goats that we import in Jamaica per year only amounts to about 25,000 kilograms. Everything else is sheep.
And I'm sure sheep can't make the good old manish water.
No. But in Jamaica, you throw curry and any meat and they call it curry goat.
Yes. Oh my. Omer, as usual, we all good things come to an end. This is not an end. We are just pausing the discussion for next week again, when we will continue exploring ways and avenues how to feed ourselves and earn our way out of our problems. Yes. Thank you. That was Dr. Omer Thomas. And boy, there is lots of things to be done. We are taking a break. Don't go away.
Ever wanted to share what you know about a crime but were too afraid? At Crime Stop, we make it easy for you to report on crimes safely and 100% anonymously. All it takes is 4 simple steps. First, contact the tip line at 311 or visit www.crimestop.org or www.311tips.com. Then share what you know anonymously with one of our trained counselors. Any information related to criminal activity is accepted. We don't want to know your identity. We don't record calls or use star 69, and there is no way of tracing tips over the phone or online. You'll also be given a file number for your tip. Next, track the progress of your tip by calling our tip line at 311 and quoting your file number. Finally, if your tip leads to success, you will be eligible for a cash reward. Rewards will be paid out upon request through a trusted disbursement agency with verification process to ensure that your identity remains hidden. Share what you know anonymously.
Do it for your best life. Go check your HIV status. So keep your life trending, no pretending. Me, I tell you, if you do it for you, do it for you. Every time you are link with a condom, coulda Ozzy, coulda wife, coulda be a random. Condom connect and protect your profile. Be your own fan. Do it for your best life. Do it for your best life. Do it. Don't put yourself at risk. Condom connect every time. Do it for your best life. Do it.
Keep we island clean, so clean. From the peaks to the beach, so clean. No dirty up Jamaica, please don't do it. Keep we island clean, so clean. From the peaks to the beach, so clean. No dirty up Jamaica, please don't do it.
No dash no paper, no dash no plastic. Dispose your garbage responsibly. No know how to recycle, learn it quick. And if you drop it, better pick up every piece of it. Plastics last forever, don't forget the bits. Cause when them touch the street, them end up in at the sea. Collect pan the reef where they fish them feed. And when you want seafood, I eat your
Keep
eat.
we island clean, so clean. From the peaks to the beach, so clean. No dirty up Jamaica, please don't do it. No dirty up Jamaica. No dirty up Jamaica. No dirty up Jamaica. No dirty up Jamaica.
It's a message to you from myself and the Ministry of Health and Wellness. Shen Yang, everyone fi wear a mask. Where the numbers drop, I don't want COVID, lay you down flat. Nose and mouth, you fi cover up that. Oh, 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 oh. Sanitizer, get hospitalized. Fight the virus and fight for your life, yeah. Nobody talk about say you no response no more. Don't be reckless, cause you test say you no have, you can still get the virus from somebody. Don't be reckless, cause you test say you no have, you can still get the virus. So keep the numbers down, protect yourself and the people around. COVID in town, 6 feet apart, 6 feet in the ground. Keep the numbers down, protect yourself and the people around. COVID in town, 6 feet apart, 6 feet in the ground. Stay alive, stay alive, stay alive, stay alive, stay alive, stay alive.
One, two, three, two more. 1, 2. Adults to 30 minutes activity daily. Love your body, treat your body right. Vegetables, make sure you eat plenty. Children do 60 minutes activity.
Welcome back to Rebel Radio.
Hello?
Hello?
Now get you.
Hello? Hello? Mr. Fulton. Well, this segment of the program is where we turn our attention to food security and water security. And with us tonight is the JAS president, the president of the Jamaica Agricultural Society, Mr. Lenworth Fulton. Is he there, Mr. Fulton?
Hello?
Yes. Are you hearing me? Hello?
You may tell them I use call that word.
I don't know why I'm not here, Mr. Fulton. Miss,
Hello?
What about Miss Maureen? Maureen. I'm hearing you, but I don't understand what is happening. I'm hearing, Mr. Fulton. Mr. Fulton, I'm hearing you. But I don't know. We're having some technical glitches here. We just try to sort them out. In the meantime, let us just go for a break. You want to Maureen then?
Do it for your best life, yeah. Go check your HIV status, yeah. So keep your life trending, no pretending. Me, I tell yourself it, do it for you, do it for you. Every time you are link with a condom, coulda Ozzy, coulda wife, coulda be a random. Condom connect and protect your profile. Be your own fan, do it for your best life. Do it for your best life. Do it. Don't put yourself at risk. Condom connect every time. Do it for your best life. Do it.
Keep the island clean, so clean. From the peaks to the beach, so clean. No dirty up Jamaica, please don't do it. Keep we island clean, so clean. From the peaks to the beach, so clean. No dirty up Jamaica, please don't do it.
No dash no paper, no dash no plastic. Dispose your garbage responsibly. No know how to recycle, learn it quick. And if you drop it, better pick up every piece of it. Plastics last forever.
Yes, Rebel Radio. At this time we turn our attention to food and water security. And we are going to be having a discussion with the JAS President, Mr. Lenworth Fulton, and agricultural researcher Maureen Denton. Welcome. Maureen, are you there? Hello?
Yes, I am. How are you?
Well, I'm supposed to be okay. How are you?
I'm great, thanks. Great.
All right. Well, as you know, the question of food and water security is a very big issue. A while ago, we were having a discussion with Dr. Omer Thomas about investments, and he focused a lot of his discussion on investment in the agricultural sector. And we were saying, or he told us that, there's a big neglect there. The sector is not attractive. But Maureen, what can we do now, or where should we be focusing on focus our attention as it relates to food and water security right now in Jamaica?
Okay, this is, as everybody agrees, this is a very critical time. We have always said how important agriculture is to our economy and for the growth and development of our people, but we are not paying enough attention. And with the war in Ukraine and coming out of the COVID situation, the issue or the challenge of food security is increasingly very real. Also, when we combine that with some of the, the climate changes, we have just gone through a week or so ago of major flooding in many areas, and a lot of farmers have suffered from this flooding. So we really have to focus on how we're going to really tackle food security and water security in a serious way.
Yes.
There's no doubt that there is enough water here. What we don't have is proper harvesting, storage, and distribution of water. We don't have that. And with respect to food security, we're not growing efficiently enough to really meet the needs of our people and to be able to even produce what we can in fact produce. You have mentioned often just about how much we import, and we have to work on reducing the import bill by growing our own crops.
Yes. I understand that some farmers out in Portmore suffered, heavy losses due to the flooding in that area. You have that, know about that?
I've heard about that. As a matter of fact, I got a call from one or two farmers in the area saying, Maureen, what can we do? Because what has happened is that there are certain housing developments that have been taking place in that area. And if we know, even from the agricultural perspective, if when you're planting crops, you don't have proper storage, proper drainage, then of course you run the risk that if you have flooding or anything like that, you're going to suffer major losses. And with some of these housing developments that are taking place, if there isn't proper drainage, because you put up these houses, there's going to be water coming down on the roofs, going down into the fields. So what happened here was because of the excessive amount of water and the drainage being blocked up and not proper drainage, then of course the water overflowed the banks, and several farmers had major losses. Several small farmers lost quite a bit because of this. So when we're building, we really have to take into consideration the whole issue of water runoff and drainage. We see it all the time.
Well, this is terrible. Mr. Fulton, what reports are you getting after the rain? Hello? Hello? Well, we don't have Mr. Fulton yet. Hello? Hello?
Are you hearing me now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I was
hearing you.
I was asking you, what reports are you getting after the floods from your farmers? Go ahead, I'm hearing you, you know. Maureen, are you still there?
Yes, and I'm hearing you.
Okay. I don't know why I'm not hearing Mr. Fulton at all. Last time.
Are you hearing me now?
I'm hearing you. Go ahead, Henry. Go ahead, Mr. Fulton.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the damage is significant across Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
There are significant losses in St. Thomas and in St. Catherine. And sister on the Bernard Lodge, St. Catherine farm.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead. We seem to have lost.
Yeah. Hearing me?
Yeah, man, go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, they're having significant losses there because the fields are saturated and the rain continue to fall at some time of the day, within a 24-hour. You still have a shower, which keeps the saturation there.
Okay.
So they have lost most of their melons, cantaloupe, onions, and things like okra. And all these crops have been waterlogged.
Okay.
And in other parishes like St. Thomas, Clarendon, and some western parishes like Hanover have faced, and Westmoreland, they face significant damage as well, running into millions of dollars.
Yes.
So I hope that there is some assistance, as per usual, coming from the government to help them to get back on their feet.
Yes.
But Mr. Fullerton, I just think because each time you have these climatic events and the government have to come in. But I think if we just, as they say, fix your roof before it starts raining. And if we were to spend some of this money on putting in proper drainage, that would significantly help to reduce the type of losses that farmers are experiencing. Because
I agree with you.
The drains are not good, and sometimes even if the drains are there, they're not properly cleaned. They're backed up, so there's no proper runoff. So I mean that just has to be that has to be a focus because it's almost not a waste because
that has to be a focus.
Yeah, the farmers suffer a lot, but they'd be much better off if they're helped with proper drainage, so that next time they could mitigate some of the impact of the flooding.
Mr. Fulton.
I agree, but
Yes, go ahead. We are listening to you. Yes.
Yes, I am saying that the drain cleaning system is not connected to agriculture in most cases. It is a function of the parish council or the local government. And therefore the coordination is not there. So when the farmers suffer, they have a lick at the end. And then at the same time, you're having parish councillors quarreling with their mayors and the mayors quarreling with their MPs. So I just see a system that is not in kilter. It is ramshackle And maybe we need a different approach so that instead of having this splinter responsibility in various agencies that are unconnected anyway, it is one of the resultant factor that we as farmers suffers from flood and so on.
But back, Mr. Fulton, I still want to get some idea from you. Now, is that what, from your perspective as JAS president, what should be done or what can be done and what must be done in order to cut this $1 billion food bill?
Well, what must be done, Desmond, is that we have not got in this country a proper land use policy. There are some proposal and some green paper, but this policy is around probably for 40 years, going and coming, and it has not been finalized with the sort of a legislation to protect agricultural land. One. The second thing is that the agencies that are dealing with land reform, that we as farmers can get land, are not really land reform agencies, you know. They are rental agencies such as SCJ, AI's Agricultural Invest Corporation, and all of that, and the Commission of Lands. They are just leasing land for whatever fee they can get. Because these agencies, both the AIC and the SCJ, their expenses are not in the consolidated funding, not in the budget. They have to generate their own money to pay their own expense. So their interest is to rent land to whoever can pay the rent as dear as possible. So I don't think agriculture is really the focus. Because if you look at their rental, if somebody wants to do a dairy, and by the way, we are only producing between 15 and 17% of the fresh milk that we want in this country. So that's an open market, big market. But if somebody wants 500 or 1,000 acres of land to do a large dairy operation, how on earth they're going to begin with the upfront cost of 12 to 15,000 per acre? That is just not something that is feasible.
Right.
So you need a land reform system that could say, listen, I am going to give you the land on a concession for the first 5 years, and then we start to set a lease, graduated type of lease collection that you go at the back end to collect your lease, but allow the business to develop. We don't have that. So you find out that some of the long-term agricultural development will never get off the ground.
So
you couldn't take that money to do a coconut.
Who is lobbying government
so
to
we
do
are
this?
left with a
Who is lobbying government?
We have done a good portion of it. Well, we have done so, but I think that lobbying to change that must be front and center of the Ministry of Agriculture.
Okay, I see.
They must take that new.
Yes.
You see, we have to look at agriculture in a comprehensive way.
Right.
Right. It doesn't make sense. We address one issue for a year and then we drop that and we go to something else and so forth. We know what the challenges are, right? As Mr. Fulton just mentioned, one, there's a whole issue of land, right? Getting access to proper land for farming, cultivation, or raising livestock. Then once you have the land, then you're talking about also just providing access to equipment, especially if you're talking about some of the smaller farmers that they say they want. The government says it wants to help. Then you have to make sure that these farmers have access to equipment, because in agriculture, everything is about timing. So you
Right.
have to be able to prep your land on time and so forth. And if you have to depend on borrowing or waiting or so forth, oftentimes the land is not prepped. Then you have to look at seed policy. Our yields are just not where they're supposed to be. Most of the farmers' yields are below what they should be, and therefore they're not competitive. The farmers are not making a good return on their agriculture. So you have to look at that. You have to look at food storage, water storage, processing. You have all of these things must come together if you're saying you really want to ensure that agriculture makes a contribution, a significant contribution to the economy. It
Right.
cannot be a piece by piece process.
Mm-hmm.
It just can't.
Right, right. Lady and gentlemen, just hold it for me. Let's take a short break. This is Rebel Radio.
Life, go check your HIV status. So keep your life trending, no pretending. Me, I tell you, if you do it for you, do it for you. Every time you are link with a condom, coulda house, coulda wife, coulda be a random condom connect and protect your profile. Be your own fan. Do it for your best life. Do it for your best life. Do it. Don't put yourself at risk. Condom connect every time. Do it for your best life. Do it.
Yes, back with us at Rebel Radio. We are talking to Maureen Denton and Mr. Lenworth Fulton, JAS president, and we are talking about food and water security. Well, we have lots of water now, but there are times in Jamaica when the farmers are crying out for water. And that goes back to a point raised by Maureen a while ago, that we have water, but it is not being harvested properly. So in another 6 or so months, you might hear the farmers saying, boy, drought, no water. What can we do about that? Hello?
Well, that's a very critical problem because they have lost more in drought than we have lost in flood. Because we don't even have a system here to measure drought. When you go to Brazil, there are certain critical streams and rivers that are measured. And once the flow of these streams and rivers slows or dip, they can predict a drought.
Yes.
We don't have that here. We don't measure those things. We are depending on a global weather report for the Caribbean and some forecast for Jamaica, which is not long-term enough for farmers even to prepare.
Yes.
Then we had...
What about harvesting? Hello? Maureen? I don't know what is happening there. We're having some issues with like we have lost both of our guests. Maureen?
Moving streams over time,
Yes.
you will be able to get enough water to irrigate. And then the whole advice to farmer to say, listen, if you have 500,000 gallons of water, say, then you cannot go out there and put in 2,000 acres of cabbage. So you need that sort of measurement and guidance to our farmers that when it comes to the dry season, put in the amount of crop that you can nurture.
Right.
All these are systems to the world, which I do anybody doing right now.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
But
and
yeah,
it's not. I mean, it's not rocket science. It's not rocket science.
It
It's
is not.
just stuff. Right. It's stuff that is very obvious. You have to be able to store water. With all the flooding we had the other day, I bet it's just a tiny percentage of that water that has been stored and harvested.
mhm.
And my question is oftentimes the amount of money that the government is going to have to come up with now to address all the losses from the floods and the farmers, etc. Could that money have been better used in terms of building, as he says, micro dams or other storage facilities? Could it have been better used to build proper drainage, etc.? These are the things we can't just keep, as they say, buying an umbrella when it starts raining, as opposed to just doing what we need to have in place to help to mitigate. I mean, how long is it going to take us to learn, right? When agriculture does not do well, economic growth suffers in this country. There's a clear correlation between it. But still, we are not putting we have the talk, There's a lot of talk. There are a
Yes.
lot of documents. You can find reports on every single thing that we are saying on air today.
Yeah.
But it's the implementation and the focused approach on it that's just not there.
Well,
Just not there.
well.
I agree with you.
But Mr.
When you look in other countries,
Mhm.
when you look in US, when they started 80 years ago or so, or even more, to build the Ohio river dams to suffice water for 4 or 5 states. We have not done anything here in the last probably 70, 80 years than the 2 major dams you have in St. Andrew there.
Well, Mr. Fullerton, the
Just
JAS,
don't invest.
the JAS has a lot of work to do. A lot of work. And time has caught up with us, but we still have time at another time, because this program is a continuous dialogue, because we must do something to address these critical issues. It is just something that we can't forget. So I want to thank Maureen Denton and Mr. Fullerton for shedding some light on the food situation with us tonight. And next week we'll be back. Until then, thank you very much, Maureen and Lenworth. Thank you very much. Are we going to take a break now? We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we want to talk to Hedgerton Newman just for a short while on transportation. What is happening with public transportation in the country? Don't go away, Rebel Radio. Rebel Radio, and we are boiling down, but we are boiling down very hot. And we have Mr. Edgerton Newman. Edgerton, are you there?
I think I'm here.
Well, I can hear you loud and clear.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yes.
Thank you.
You know, the transportation sector, some say it is in shambles. What say you?
Well, I would agree with person who say the sector is in shambles because it depends on what lens you're using to look at the sector. Those who think it's in a shambles, I think they have some points, but they would have to share from what direction the sector is in shambles. Let me tell you, I have been in the sector for over 20 years and 9 months, and it's the best I've ever seen the sector in terms of management.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, in terms of output, it can be a little bit more, little better, but right now, it's a number of changes. We have a major focus. We are looking at the 2030 vision. That is very important to us in the next 8 years, and all segment of the sector is focusing on that direction. If you speak about discipline in the sector, we have some challenges. We have about 13 to 14% of the sector, the operators within the sector, really have questionable characters, and the indiscipline from that angle is very high. But the other 86, 87% of the sector across Jamaica, because most people think that the little indiscipline when we came TR represents Jamaica. No.
Mm-hmm.
When you go to other parishes, the operators, the fathers, the brothers, the uncles who are driving taxi, and even the mothers who are driving taxi are doing an excellent job. But because of the number of units we have on the road, and the amount of traffic on the other hand on the road, and the small pittance we get to charge for fees, for fare, that is why we have this sort of congestion with breeds in discipline in the Kingston Metropolitan Transport Region.
Mr. Newman, I want to draw your attention to two ugly pimples on the face of the transport sector. One, I have seen too many videos of taxi and busmen fighting with policemen. And the second thing is that the lick shot mentality continues. Taxis are driving dangerously with patch. I think they are playing with people's lives. The other day, I see a video with a driver laden, a bus filled with people.
Yeah.
Dancing. I don't know if it's reggae, jazz, or what, but that the vehicle was swaying across the road. No, that can't be right.
You would agree with me no, you would not agree with me, sorry, to say that if you want a safe ride anywhere in Jamaica, take a coaster bus or a taxi. They are the most dangerous drivers, but they are the safest drivers. We accounted last year, we accounted for less than 3% of the accident, the fatal crashes in Jamaica last year. We move a little bit above that this year because we're going up maybe about 13 deaths in public transportation, or a little bit over that. Now, let me tell you something. I am not taking up for my bus and taxi men. We call it, one man, your good friend called them the weapons of mass destruction. And we laugh at it. There are some drivers who act that way. But the majority of our drivers are safe, reliable service providers in Jamaica. And there's no doubt about that. We see the Constant Spring Road with the coaster bus. We see the Red Hills Road with the taxis. And we are worried, we tremble. We want to come out. And we say they should stop those type of driving. But at the end of the day, you reach a destination. And I said that because of the system that we are in. Yeah. It's like going to tourism and go to a car vendor and 50 of them come to you. And sometimes the same item. The same thing with the public transport sector. That's what is happening.
But Mr. Newman, hold on. you need to examine what you said a while ago. So
Yes.
so you are driving dangerously, but yes, we reach. You take us to our destination. No, sir.
No, it's not. Hold on, my brother. I am not saying that this should be the way forward, and that is why we put in a number of things to address that problem. Let me tell you, this coming Friday, we will launch a massive training program through TPDCO that every driver, every single driver and conductor that operates a PPV in Jamaica will have the tourism product development certification training. We say to our members, listen, if you drive bad, the police must throw the entire book at you. Person who heads our disciplinary committee.
And before we go, time is running out. But before we go, why there are so many fights between taxi busmen and the police? Why? What is happening
we
there?
think we're on the seat by the police. We think the police see between our fingers every day money. They only get money once per month. We get money every morning and every evening, every midday. That is our research on the matter. The police don't like us.
But Edgerton, it can't be that you challenge the security forces like that. That is a recipe. That's a recipe for disaster, you know.
That is what civil society is saying. We are challenging the police. The police challenging us. Look what the commissioner of police said yesterday about the bus driver. Well, the bus was beaten for nothing, beaten severely for nothing. The commissioner of police said it's because the man drive bad. I want to mow him down. Nothing, no boss, sir. And that is what the commissioner did is give more ammunition to the police in Christiana to beat the taxi man. Why? Because he want to take in care for a pound. We mustn't say those. We have to research things very much, and we are serious about that. Very, very serious about what the commissioner of police said yesterday. He gives more fire to the because you're police. You must just do what the police said.
No, I don't agree with that either. Edgerton. But let me just tell you something. I have been associated with public transportation system in this country going back from the 90s. Ezra and Millwood.
Yes.
Right. I have been in the heart of it.
And when you talk on our back.
And let me tell you something. The indiscipline among busmen then and now. So what I'm saying, it continues. It continues. And I am saying that, yes, there might be some changes, at the edges, but the fundamental changes that are necessary, we are not there yet, Edgerton, and we have to work towards that.
We are not there yet, but we are on the way.
And this conflict between the police and some drivers, this is a recipe for a disaster. We have to cut it off now.
It is, sir.
Somebody, we don't want. Yes, I agree. But listen, violence begets violence,
That is true.
Edgerton, listen, this platform is open for you. We are going to continue this discussion. This is and I thank you. I thank you very much for joining me tonight. And you will be back.
Thank you for having me, my brother. You take care. Keep it up.
Respect. Ladies and gentlemen, my viewers and listeners, thank you very much. This afternoon, we had the chairman of the National Democratic Movement, Mr. Mike Williams, followed by Dr. Omer Thomas. And then we had Mr. Lenworth Fulton and Miss Maureen Weber. And just a while ago, Mr. Edgerton Newman telling us about what is happening in the transportation sector. We continue to provide some mental nourishment for you, and we'll continue next Friday. We'll continue this Friday. Until then, stay safe, healthy, and strong. Rebel Radio is beside you, and I'm Desmond Richards.